Well, hello there, welcome to the Obi-Thorn Alliance. In today's video, we are reviewing and discussing Black Widow. If you can, smash that like button, comment about your thoughts and discussion. Yeah. What's your thoughts about Black Widow, Luke?
Leading into it, I didn't have high hopes. We watched the trailer and we did a reaction to it. We already knew Black Widow's fate. So we, I didn't have high expectations. So going in there with that mindset of not expecting much made me critical, but also set a low bar that could be beaten easily. So I'll save my thoughts to the end, but I didn't have much leading into it. What were you expecting leading into seeing it?
I guess a good action origin story, and I guess something to tie into Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Okay, let's summarize it. How would you summarize this movie?
I would say it's a family film to, she has two families and it's a spy flick, quite a lot of espionage and trying to, work out who you can trust and kind of, yeah.
So where's this in the timeline of the Marvel Universe? Where do we kick off with this film?
It's between Civil War and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, so we've got Natasha, Black Widow, still on the run. We know that what proceeds after that, but this is kind of filling in the gaps of what happened. So it's quite cool. We get where do we start off with her being
orphan?
Yeah, she's like an orphan. She's a little girl. You see, I wasn't sure at first if it was her, but it was a girl that had like coloured hair, and then she had like a little sister, and then there was a father and a mother, and I don't know. We're kind of wondering what's going on with that dynamic. We eventually find out that they are on a mission for Russia or this villain of some sort, and he got the intel they wanted. They got on a jet. They take off. So we're left with a cool scene where we see that the father has some kind of strength and power. Yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Well, he goes on the helicopter and then kind of jumps on and kind of protects the family, and then the mother drives, but she gets shot, and then Natasha basically has to take over and then get them out of there. And then it was a pretty cool scene to start off with action pace.
Yeah, there's some cool action in there. Then they go to Cuba. The girls get handed over. The mother's been shot. She gets taken. The father then goes off with this villain that we come to know. So what the movie follows, it gives us, that's our backstory. That's all we get in terms of backstory about Natasha. We see an interesting credits then, which is not common in the Marvel movies to have credits like that after a scene, and that showed a lot of scenes where it was like President Bill Clinton and like Russian soldiers, and it's just a different kind of credit scene. The movie kind of follows Natasha in that time frame between the Civil War and Endgame. So she's on the run. You see her like back and forth with this guy that's chasing her. She has like a friend that kind of looks like they have a love relationship with, or at least he wants there to be. He gets her a caravan, gets her cars, gets her planes, whatever she needs. And then she gets some mail from Budapest that was at a place in Budapest, and I think at this time she's meant to be in Norway. And inside this package, unknowingly, is like, what is it, like this red vial?
Yeah, her sister. Yeah.
Yeah, so before that we see a scene with her sister. We don't know it's her sister at the time. She gets in a fight with these other Black Widow looking characters, fighting over this vial thing. Eventually one cracks, it gets on her, and then she kind of like comes out of whatever mind control she's under. She cuts out of her leg this little chip that can control her, and then she takes the vial, and then she's obviously then posted it to her sister. We follow her going and back to Budapest. And seeing her sister. But before that, who else are we introduced to?
Taskmaster.
Yeah. So what do we know about Taskmaster?
Well, the only recollection or knowledge I know was from the video game in the first level when you actually play as Black Widow fighting Taskmaster. Basically, Taskmaster can analyze any move other character can make, and basically what makes that bad is that can basically copy any moves, so you're basically fighting against yourself. So it was a pretty interesting fight, but Taskmaster didn't want to kill Black Widow, just wanted the package that she had. So
okay, being mindful, trying to summarize it here, and then we're going to move into some more discussion questions. So then the film then follows her reconnecting with her sister. Then they go and find her father, well, not a real father, but a spy father.
Red Guardian.
Yeah, who's Red Guardian. He's in prison. We get a cool prison break scene, which we can talk about later. And then ultimately they go and find the mother, who's still a scientist for this villain, and they've hatched a plan to take down the Red Room. They don't know where it is, but they want to find out what it is. They eventually find out. So what is the Red Room in the end? What are we revealed with?
This training area for brainwashed girls to basically take over the world.
Yeah, and it's like a flying ship, kind of similar to the Avengers like headquarters they had. Obviously, I don't know if it's meant to be bigger or smaller. This Russian dude, he has that. Taskmaster's under his control. We find out they're creating this I'd call it like the Black Widow program. But yeah, they're basically picking out orphan females for some reason. He brainwashes and trains them to become fighters, and then he has them planted all over the world, and he reckons he controls the world because at any point he can set them off to do anything. But how powerful these girls, I don't know. But that's the premise of it. And they ultimately take him down and the Red Room down, and we're left with the repercussions of what happens in future films. So, after summarising, what do you think of it? What's your verdict? What are your thoughts?
I thought the new sister character was quite interesting because she kind of had a humour, wasn't as serious as Black Widow. I thought it was an interesting scene how the sister kind of made out that Black Widow was a poser, what's kind of true in her movies, and then when she did it, she kind of made a funny comment that it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I think it was a very family-orientated movie, like I said, and I think it's very much worth watching. I'll get to the nitpicks and more of the discussion, but if you're an MCU fan, I would highly recommend it. It's a well-grounded movie in a way, but yeah, I would definitely recommend seeing it. I think it's good, but it's not like world grounding for the MCU, and not all movies need to be that, something's Thanos is coming and the world's going to end. Some movies can just be, this is our fake family, and
We'll stop for a sec. I think you're right. Someone's iPad or phone keeps dinging, and I can hear it. Do you want to put it on silent? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, so start by maybe giving it your rating.
Yeah. So I guess rating, I will probably give it a above average to good. It's good start to Phase 4, but I just found that there's no... Going into the movie, you kind of already know what's going to happen, so I think that's the main problem. If it came out a bit early, it probably would have been better, but it's still a good addition to the MCU. Not perfect, but still a good movie to watch.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to give it, an above average rating. I think it did what... I had low expectations and exceeded it. Again, I'll get into the nitpicks, but it's the usual problem I have with Black Widow, that she unrealistically does things that just doesn't make sense to me. But it had good action. It had lots of action, actually, more so than other films. It built onto it bridged a few gaps, and it built onto a few future Marvel projects, and it also... We've came up with a few theories on what else could happen based on it, especially from the end credit scene. It was funny.
Yeah, it was.
I liked the introduction of Red Guardian. I actually was invested in wanting to know what this Red Room is.
Yeah, that's probably the best part about it.
It wasn't... The Red Room didn't turn out to be as exciting as I thought it could have been, but it was still fine. So yeah, I actually really liked it. I think it's a movie I probably would actually watch a second time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's above average. So around like a 4-star, 4 out of 5. I'm thinking. Okay, let's get into the nitpick. What are some key points you want to discuss?
I guess to do with the virals to start off with, throughout the movie, I just thought this is like a cheat code to get people, like we didn't know who designed it. One of the former Black Widows that I guess used it on herself, or someone just happens, she got brainwashed and then unbrainwashed, and then the others just, that was their mission to kill her, and then her last dying breath was to free Black Widow's sister, and then these vials just... We don't know how they were designed, we don't know, much about them. They're basically a cheat code, so personally I would have liked more development with the vials, like who created them, like... I just didn't like that part. Yeah,
I agree. I would have liked to know a bit more backstory, because we suddenly just see... someone's got it, the Black Widows are trying to get it back, and then for some reason the Taskmaster now then also is involved in chasing it. There feels like there needs to be context. Maybe that was written, but it was a scene that got cut out.
I guess so.
There's a good chance they would have, they would have had some idea. They're not just going to say, yep, there's going to be this antidote and we've got no idea where it came from. Like, the writers would have had something. It just would have been cut out. So that would have been nice to know, because we don't know who created it, like why, like it just needed a bit more context. There's also a few conveniences about it, like the first, when it gets broken open and then Natasha's sister then...
it just happened to be her.
And then when they want to get all the Black Widows, like take them off their mind control, she attaches them to a bomb and throws it. But they all explode, but then there happens to be 2 spare on the ground that Natasha picks up and uses later on Taskmaster. But like, wouldn't the bomb have exploded them all? Like that again is just another bit of convenience. But in theory, I like the idea. I would have liked to know more about it. I also think the mind control thing could have been better. Like what we found out, that this character, the villain, he was mind controlling the Black Widows and placed them around the world. But I would have liked it more if he was like planning to mind control the whole world or something, or like whole armies.
What was his plan?
So we didn't know what his plan was. He just had these and he laughed and said that he controls the world because of all this. And it's like, he had like a couple of 100 Black Widows spread around the world.
It's hard to take him seriously after we know Thanos is about to come and do what he's about to do. It's like...
So I would have liked to have known... I would have liked if his plan was a bit more sinister. And also with the vials as well, when there's spare ones and she gets all the information on like a disk drive about the Black Widow, she gives them to her sister and she's like, oh, you know what to do with this, opposed to, wouldn't you have handed that over to S.H.I.E.L.D. and been like, try and mass produce this, because if we need more, you guys are Tony Stark or someone smart enough to work that out, or Bruce Banner. Like you don't just give it to your sister and go, oh, I hope you can work this out. Given that later on through the end credit scene we work out that his sister's possibly not a good character again.
Yeah.
So the vials. What did you think about the backstory we got? Are you happy with that? For Black Widow, like I guess in all the movies prior to this, we just knew she was a spy. But what did you think about this whole Black Widow program and her being an orphan? And
it was fine. Like it was a fine story, but it doesn't make me think otherwise towards her. I actually kind of liked Red Guardians, even more interesting. Like, I agree with you, I found it a bit unrealistic how against all the other Black Widows she could take them on easily. Like, I understand she's like a top student, but
I would have liked to know why she wasn't under mind control, how she defected from... Because she mentioned how the last thing that allowed her to become an Avenger and defect from like being a Russian villain to being part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Or like, I don't know, like becoming a good guy, she had to then kill this villain, which she ended up not successfully doing. Yeah, like how she was never under my control. Like if she was his best subject, why was she not the one? Why did she not become Taskmaster? Or so there's still missing parts of the backstory, but yeah, it was okay. What do you think about Taskmaster? Do you think that was who you wanted it to be or who you expected it to be?
I was kind of thinking to myself of who it could have been, and my two theories was the mother, because we didn't see her actually die, or the daughter that survived the explosion. And I kind of thought, well, the father and the daughter both didn't survive the explosion. It's a bit hard to believe, but it made sense for the story, but I didn't like it.
I didn't really consider the daughter. I thought it was going to be...
Hawkeye?
No, I didn't think that. I thought it was going to be the wife... the mother, or maybe like some kind of clone.
That would be a better idea.
Or even like someone different, like could have just been a top student. It just didn't cross my mind that it would have been the daughter.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I guess because the age as well, she looked like she'd be around the same age as Black Widow. And when Black Widow supposedly killed him in that scene, she also looked the same age as she looks now. So and as well the mother didn't age either. So like the whole aging thing put me off a bit with the timeline of when this all happened. What are the key points? So the Red Room, do you believe that they could have all this technology in this flying ship and not be noticed by the good guys?
Well, I guess you kind of have to buy it. So Black Widow, that was her arc throughout the story, was to bring him down. But no, I personally didn't buy that S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't have noticed this mastermind, or Tony Stark, or Thor flying around would have not noticed. But you got to buy it for the sake of Black Widow's story, basically.
What about the do you buy this whole mind control pheromone thing that if you smell the guy you can't hurt him, like you can't even pull the gun, or like...
Oh, it was convenient they thought of it, but I don't know, just the other thing they came up with.
It's clever. If it was possible, that's cool. In my mind, I had this idea that once it came clear what she was doing, I thought maybe she'd separated the nerve, or severed the nerve. And when he's like, oh, you can't hit me and you can't shoot me, I thought maybe she was pretending. Like she was pretending to pull the gun and she was pretending to stop. So then she could find out more information. And then she's like, oh, actually, I haven't been able to smell you the whole time, I'm joking. But it turns out she was trying to piss him off so that he would punch her in the nose enough times. And it's an elaborate plan to assume that he was going to punch a girl, like to bank your whole plan on that,
and to snap your nose.
Yeah, and then to do that. What about the action in the last scene, the jumping out of this falling ship and the flying kind of and landing on stuff and no parachutes?
It was very impressive to look at, but highly unrealistic, because I don't know if you've tried jumping off a plane and parachuting, but I've actually tried doing it simulated, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
You can't just jump off and be like, oh, I'm going to survive this, and no, it doesn't work like
I
that.
also wondered, because the motor stopped on this thing and it was crashing, wouldn't a big heavy thing just hit the ground fast? Like, it was not falling very fast. Like, I just assumed that sort of thing would hit the ground in, I don't know, like a minute, or in seconds, not just, oh, I'm going to slowly descend. It doesn't have a parachute. Like, that they had enough time to run between rooms, and everything's falling apart, but they're somehow still in intact rooms, and the I don't know, like the bridge kind of thing, and there's still planes on there, and they can some get off on the planes, and you're like, oh, this thing was blowing up, no one's getting off.
I guess I have a question for you. Would you prefer this to be a TV show, or because of Scarlett Johansson you kind of feel like that she deserved her own movie, or do you think it would have worked better as a 6 to 8 episode TV show more?
I think the TV show would have been good, because you would have got more backstory, but whether it would have worked, because you see the formula with the TV show, you kind of need a twist at every episode, or you need to be building up to something. I don't know if it would have worked for this, because you needed to discover the sister and the Taskmaster early on, and you needed to find the father early on. Like, whether that could have worked being split into 6 to 8 episodes, whether we would have known the ending too soon. I'm sure the writers could have found a way, but I think I would have liked. I like the shows more than movies, to be honest. I'd be happy if they continually kept bringing out shows instead of movies, but they won't, because they want to bank on people going to the cinemas and spending money, opposed to paying $10 a month and sharing the login with all your friends, and they don't make any money off it. So.
And did you buy that Red Guardian was the Russians' version of Captain America would have actually just gone on that one mission, been sent to prison, and then like just waited there and done his arm wrestling all his time and being like a
I don't buy into that. I guess he seems too powerful to be able to do that, to keep him in the prison. I also couldn't work out, when they're trying to break him out, were the prisoners trying to not let him break out, because they're like, oh, Red Guardian's escaping, and the prisoners were chasing him. Like, why do they care? Like, why do they care he's escaping? So it's like they were chasing him too. I liked him as a character. I thought it was very funny, and I actually would like to see a backstory to that.
TV show.
Whether he can have a show of showing his like early missions, like prior to him going to Idaho, wherever it was, with Natasha and her sister, and collecting the intel. Whether they would have like seeing him, like, how did he get his powers? Do we assume he got the same serum as like Steve Rogers?
He said
like, I'd like to know that. That'd be cool to see, because it reminds me of, in like the DC universe, they have like the alternate versions of Superman and Batman, where if they happen to be in Russia opposed to America, and how they would, what side like they would fight on. So it makes me think about him as like the Russian version of Captain America. So yeah, that would have been cool to see. I think I also would have liked it maybe if the villain was like tied in with the Russian government, whether he was like, maybe he was like meant to be Vladimir Putin or something. That would have been cool. So there was a lot of opportunities there to make it an even better film.
So did you like who they chose as Taskmaster, or would you kind of like,
I think it's good enough. I couldn't think of anyone better. If it was a clone of Natasha, that would have been cool, but then you'd like, how do they do that? That's almost too far. I'd also like to know what they were planning to do with the sister when they were drawing the lines on her face. Were they going to steal her face, kill her? I don't know what their plan was. So there's a lot of missing details that we don't know. Also, that final scene. What do you think about, like they landed and then the Black Widows came down on their ship. Do we assume that Natasha got in that plane with them, or did she stay around to get arrested by this guy?
She was staying around to get arrested.
And then I'm trying to piece in how that ties into the timeline. How does she, moving on from Civil War, does she just, like, what, they take her in and then they decide not to charge her, or does she get put in prison? I can't remember.
Well, she meets up with Captain America and Sam Wilson, and then that's when we see them in Avengers Infinity War saving Vision and
Yeah, because
Wanda?
I was confused because the guy that was hunting her at the start was driving, and he had all the guards with him, or police officer or whatever.
Mm.
But then we see the next scene, she gets given that another ship by that other guy.
Yeah, that was the ship in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, so does she? She obviously doesn't get caught. Those guys show up, and she gets in a plane or something. She like does she? She must then take off with the Black Widows. They drop her somewhere, and then she gets in this ship.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. What other questions do I have for you? What about the end credit scene?
It kind of worked out that it's going to lead into the Hawkeye show. I think they kind of had planned to introduce the character for the show to give that meeting more meaning, because the movie was meant to come out first. That's why I said tying with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because it kind of felt weird seeing her in that ending cutscene.
So yeah, so we're introduced with I think it's Valentino, who's the character that's in Falcon and Winter Soldier that tries to help the
US agent.
Yeah, the US agent, and so we kind of, now it comes clear that she's not necessarily good because she's assigned the task to take down Hawkeye.
Leading up to the Hawkeye show.
Yeah, so I guess so. We've given our summary, we've given our rating, asked a few questions. What do you think now, building on for this movie, what do you think this means for Hawkeye? From what we've seen so far, what's your theory about Hawkeye?
I guess we're supposed to believe that Black Widow's sister is going to be the villain hunting down Hawkeye, and him kind of proving, or not at the start, it'll be kind of a cat and mouse sort of game, even though all he has to do is like have a conversation.
Yeah, because she thinks that he killed her sister, but in fact her sister sacrificed herself for the world.
Yeah.
So we reckon that's what Hawkeye, it's going to be her chasing him. That seems a bit simple. So do we think there's going to be another villain?
I guess so.
Which might be this Valentino character, because she's instructing people to do bad things. So whether they then turn against her, and then you mentioned that there's a
protege.
Yeah, there's a female cast to take over as Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're thinking that show's probably going to build onto that. We see the Valentino character, we see Natasha's sister, cat and mouse, they probably team up, and then there's the protege, and that's probably what we'd expect for Hawkeye.
I don't know if he'll just retire or he'll pass away. It'll be interesting to see what they do with his character, because the actor is getting older, I guess.
I reckon it'll be a retirement thing. I don't think they'll kill him off,
no.
Considering as a family. Because if that was the case, they would have sacrificed him instead of Black Widow in the film. So I think he will then just retire. He really hasn't had much involvement in the Marvel franchise.
That's why he's getting his show.
Yeah, but I guess the show, we assume it's not a backstory. We assume it's a build on from what's happened. So it's a bit interesting. So he's good with arrows. He's very accurate. They decide to make him an Avenger. He's in a couple of the films, doesn't do a whole lot, and then someone wants to kill him, and then he retires. It's like, wow, great. He's not very significant. Okay, that's our theories. Any other comments?
Within the movie, would you like them to make a spin-off of Black Widow? Is there any characters that you would like to see get their own movie or show, or maybe like tie in to because we already know the sister's going to be in Hawkeye. Would you like anyone else?
I think just Red Guardian. I'd like to see a
Mm.
a backstory to Red Guardian. That'd be cool.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. The other characters not too interested, and I think they've played their role. What about yourself?
Yeah, Red Guardian. The actor's really cool. He's in Stranger Things, and it's funny how they do that scene in the bathroom when everything's all tight and everything, and then he has the suit on.
Yeah, I'll give the movie one thing. It made me laugh.
Yeah, it's funny but serious.
Yeah, there's that scene. There's the
Family scene.
Yeah, the family kind of argument at the table. There's
no slouching.
Yeah, there's the banter between the sisters talking about her being a poser.
Yeah.
What else I find they're quite funny? Oh no, I did laugh a lot. I think there was quite a few scenes that cracked me up. I wish I could think of it. There was one that I laughed about for ages, and it wasn't even. It was just such a simple joke, but I thought it was hilarious. It'll come to me later. But yeah, overall, I gave it a above average, and what was your rating?
Above average to good.
Yeah, cool.
Well, thanks for helping, Luke. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Leave us your thoughts about the movie. Let the force be with you. Bye-bye.